Hey everyone, I'm back, and today we're going to be talking about Armageddon, and this movie is directed by Michael Bay, and it stars Bruce Willis, Ben Affleck, Steve Buscemi, Liv Tyler, a whole bunch of others as a pretty big cast, and this was a film that was pretty big for the time. I know it was very successful, and I don't think I've seen this movie in its entirety. I think I've seen the ending, and maybe I've seen the full thing, possibly. I have no idea. All I know is that I've definitely seen the ending to this movie, and I did not have a good time while watching this movie, unfortunately. There were some things that I did like. I thought Bruce Willis was the best part of the movie. He did a pretty good job. I was convinced by his performance, and there was some good acting in it. The movie is very cheesy, and in some scenarios that adds to the entertainment value, but at other points it does make it difficult to take anything that's going on in the story seriously, and it's kind of a unnecessarily long movie that doesn't really have much to offer for me. The effects in the movie still look pretty good, and for 98 I think they look pretty great. And I did like Michael Bay's cameo. I thought it was kind of funny. He didn't talk at all. You just kind of see him in the background, and he appears early on in the movie, which is something that I liked as well. And as for positives, that's about it. I was just waiting for like the action to happen, and the space stuff when they're going to like destroy this meteor that's gonna like end the world. It doesn't even happen until, I don't know, they don't start to go into space until like an hour into the movie, and everything before that, except for like the first 20 minutes, which is kind of entertaining, the rest of the movie is really, really boring, and you have just a bunch of annoying characters and really cheesy romance scenes every once in a while that I don't buy at all, and it's very underdeveloped. I don't like Ben Affleck in this movie. I find him to be kind of annoying as well. Both his character and his performance, I just didn't really buy him, and I'm also not a fan of the score for the film. I think the soundtrack is good enough, like it makes it clear what the movie is trying to go for in certain scenes, but the actual score for the film I was not a fan of. It was just generic action music, and that's putting it lightly. And in the space scenes, it was usually very dark and with lots of flashing lights whenever action was going on. And I get it, it's in space and it's supposed to be dark, but it doesn't make it easy for me to see what's happening. And there's sound in space, and that's probably done intentionally, because if you remove the sound that's in space, then you remove the fun. So that's probably what they were going for. I mean, it doesn't really affect my feelings on whether or not it's a good movie. I understand why this movie was successful. I get what people like about it to some extent, because I think I've said this before. This movie came out in a time where making a very cheesy movie was acceptable. There was nothing wrong with that. That's just what people wanted. And this movie is kind of a product of its time in that regard. And from that perspective, I can a bit more lenient on it. Like, okay, like it's a product of its time in a sense. It's just what people wanted. It's just sad that it didn't age the very best in my eyes. And I think I would have enjoyed this movie a lot more if it was just shorter, because there's literally no reason why this movie needs to be 2.5 hours long. Like, 2.5 hours long just to blow up a meteor. Like, that's the plot of the movie. They need to blow up a meteor, otherwise Earth is going to be destroyed. And you could argue that most of that time is being spent developing the characters, and you need to care about the characters, otherwise the movie's not going to work, and to that I would agree. I would agree that you need to care about characters in a movie in this type of film. Unfortunately, I just didn't like what I was getting out of it, and also I just don't feel as though that time was spent very well. I didn't think it was a very well paced movie. I was bored for most of it, and I just couldn't care less as to what was going on. The comedy, sometimes it worked, and most of the time it didn't, and I don't really have much else to say to that. And I don't really have too much else to say about this movie, other than like a couple spoilery things. And very boring movie for the most part. I enjoyed the first 20 minutes, and I was happy when the movie was over. There were some soundtrack choices that I did like, and I did like it that it was kind of cheesy. That made it enjoyable for me. Like, if it was like 100% serious, then I probably would have been even more bored while watching this movie. But I do like viewing it from the lenses of it being a 1998 time capsule movie, if that makes sense. Like, I enjoyed seeing a movie that's a product of its time, but unfortunately, I will not be watching this movie again. So, with all that being said, I'm going to give Armageddon a 4 out of 10. Thank you for watching my videos. As always, if you enjoyed this review, be sure to leave a like and comment down below what you thought of Armageddon, and my social media links, they will all be in the description, so follow me there. And last but not least, subscribe to be a part of Foley Nation, and I'll see you when I get my next review up, and that is going to be for The Age of Innocence. So look forward to that, but until I get that up, thank you for watching and have a great day.